Thank you all for joining us for the dealer reporting webinar. If you would please mute your phones during the discussion, it'll make it a little bit easier for everyone to hear. During our first webinar, the background noises were kind of distracting. We will have time for questions, and that will be when you can unmute and log in. There's also a chat function in the Join Me window. I can't always see all the questions, but we will get to those also. For those of you who've been to one of our webinars or presentations before, you should be familiar with our test system screen. If you have a logon, it should start with WEB, or if you were at one of the other presentations, you might have another one. Go ahead and log in. We went through the basic screen functions with our last webinar. This week we're going to be focusing on dealer reporting. I sent a link asking you to apply for your dealer license. That's the first thing you need to do as a new dealer. For those who have joined the live system, your existing licenses are already there. You don't need to reapply. But to apply for a dealer license or any other licenses, you go to Account, Registration, Registration Status. I've already requested my dealer license application, but I haven't completed it yet. So I'll go through this kind of quickly. I will allow some time, to ask questions to go through this. But just remember, for your existing licenses, you will not need to reapply in the live system. You click on the license you want to apply for. Select Enter Supporting Details. Here you'll complete the schedules for the license. Storage tanks at the time of purchase is the INT01. Also principal officers. Other state, provinces, or federal jurisdictions. Storage facilities maintained in Oregon. And suppliers. For most dealer applications, principal officers and suppliers will be required. You should complete all schedules that apply to you. I'm going to add a principal officer, just myself, so I'm going to add new record. And type in the name. This would be the physical address for the officer. And then click Insert. If you have additional officers, you would also list them at this time. The next schedule I'm going to complete is my suppliers. Again, select the schedule from the drop-down box, click Add New Record, and I'm just going to call it my demo supplier. You do need to enter a supplier name. You can select a terminal from the drop-down list, and if you type in T93, that'll start you with the Oregon terminals. So if I want to select Kinder Morgan as my terminal, I could do that. Otherwise, I could list an address, city, and state for my supplier, and the product type, I'm just going to put in E10.
On point.
And click Insert. If you have additional suppliers and additional products, you'd add those at this time also. Next, I'm going to go back to my account registrations. Click on my license application again and generate the registration form. This is where I answer the questions about my company. You go to Form Manual Entry, and there are 12 bubbles to complete. On the first one, you select whether you just want an Oregon license or whether you want city or county licenses also. Your type of ownership should come over from your license, your original application. Indicate what state you're organized in. The date organized or incorporated. Your state registry number. You select a primary contact from the drop-down box and a reporting contact from the drop-down box. You go on to the second bubble, and you can advance either by clicking on the bubble numbers or by clicking on the arrows to the right and left of the Save button. If you select Save at this point, it will save your work in process. It will not generate your application. I'm going to use my physical address for my location of records. If you do not have a county on your records location, you'll get an error. You can still use a physical address. Just come back and unclick this, type in the county, and you'll be fine. If you're registered with the Corporation Division of the Secretary of State, you'd click this box and indicate the date you began to do business in Oregon and your business registry number. If you're based in another state, you'll list the registered agent name on bubble 3. Or if you have a managing agent, you'd list their name also in that section. There's two different sections, one for the registered agent if you're outside of Oregon, and for the managing agent. On bubble number 4, you enter the person who should be sworn on the certificate. Generally, that's going to be your president or your managing agent. If you're a pipeline shipper, you'll list those information here. If you purchased your business, list the former owner. On number 5, there are 3 checkboxes. If you answer yes to any of these questions, it'll give you an option to enter the answer. So the first one asks about felony or misdemeanors involving motor fuel. If you have now or in the past conducted business using a DBA, and if you own any property in Oregon. Well, if you do, you should have listed it on your schedules, so I'm just going to say see schedules.
Oh, you want the other page too? Okay, all right, cool.
On number 6, there are additional checkboxes. Again, read each statement, click the box if it applies to you, and it'll bring up a box to enter your answer. If you did not have storage tanks in Oregon at the time of purchase, they want to know where your fuel is stored or other storage arrangements. Since I didn't list any, I'm going to just type in lease storage at terminal for now. On bubble number 7, it asks how many gallons you expect to use or sell in Oregon, both to licensed dealers and unlicensed dealers for each fuel type. Well, I'm mostly focusing on gasoline for my example, so I'll just put in some here. And I do a little bit of diesel. If you have an error, you'll get a pink box. Section number 9 is something that's a little bit different. They're asking which types of activities you conduct for which fuels. So if I just basically sell fuel products, I'll click those lines. If I have service stations, issue card lock cards, trade fuel products, exchanges, direct shipments, sales on consignment, make selections that are appropriate for your company. And when you're doing this for the test company that we're working with today, you can make those choices based on what you would like to do. or reality for your current company. On bubble 10, that's your option to apply for Multnomah and Washington County licenses. So I'm going to click yes on those. Box 11 is for the city jurisdictions. Please note that most of the cities also tax diesel as a motor fuel, so you'll include diesel purchases, deliveries to those locations. I'm going to select Astoria, Eugene, and Springfield, just for an example here. The last bubble we have is the applicant's name. If you select that from the drop-down. The date signed is today, and then the name and title with the person with authority. Okay. When you've completed your application, you can click on Save and Regenerate. And I am going to give you time to work on your applications here in a minute if you haven't already done them. Once you save and regenerate, you close the box here, refresh the view, and my application has warnings. The reason it has warnings is because I haven't attached a signature form. If I was going to be doing this as an actual application, I would view the registration form, and it comes to 19 pages. Scroll down to the pages. I would print this out and sign the appropriate pages that require signatures, get them notarized, and then save and attach so that I could include them with my application. To do that, I would go back to my application, generate the registration form, click on supporting documents, add new record, and then I can select from signature pages, power of attorney documents, or other documents. And I'll just stay with signature pages. I could navigate to the file where my signature page was, which I don't have one handy, and then click the little checkbox here to insert it. Then you can save and regenerate your form. If you want to know what's missing, you can look at your history log. And it tells me that I don't have any other state or federal jurisdictions listed, and that I need to have supporting documents. But I'm going to go ahead and click on View Submit. I will agree to the conditions of the submittal and submit the application. And then through the magic of the internet, it'll be approved while I'm answering questions about licensing.
Hi, Linda. I wanted to ask something.
Mm-hmm.
For the ones that already have a license, do we need to do all this?
If you want to use the practice system, you will have to apply for a license. Because
no, it's okay. I mean, when we go live with the e-file.
When you're live with e-filing, the licenses that are already issued to your company will already be there.
Okay,
if you
great.
modify your license, then you would go in here and apply for a license. If you want to prepare reports in the test system to practice, then you do have to have a license in order to prepare those reports.
I see. Thank you.
So, my license is approved, so now I can go back into tax filings and tax sessions. Now when I want to add a record, I can go ahead and add my dealer report. And I'm going to complete a May report during this example because that's the information that I have available. So I'll select that month. Or I may have to select a different month since I wasn't valid for May. There we go. I can file a June report. So now I can file a June motor vehicle fuel report. If you're filing by XML, you won't need to go to tax filings. For XML filings, you just go to e-filing, e-file upload. You add new record. Name it, like if I was filing the May report for this company, I would just type May MVF for 2015. I would select the XML file from wherever I had it, and then upload, and that would include all the coding I would need. Some of the things we're going to go over when we do the Excel upload and also look at the manual entry screens are to help you locate and correct errors if you have them when they come up from the XML or Excel uploads. So I'll go back to tax filings, my tax session. I have a dealer report. We'll look at the scheduled transactions so you can see the schedules that comprise a dealer report. There are some changes from the reports you're currently filing. Schedule 1 is gallons received with the Oregon tax paid. If you have tax paid fuel purchases, they would go on Schedule 1 as they always have. If they also include city or county tax, they would go on Schedule 1H. This is to indicate that it has a jurisdiction tax with it. Schedule 2 is gallons received without tax, which is the most common. Schedule 3 are gallons received imported directly to the customer. You pull it in from another state and deliver it to a customer. 4 are imports into tax-free storage. So again, you're pulling the fuel from another state, putting it into storage. 5 then we start on the delivery schedules. So 1 through 4 are your receipt schedules, as they always have been. And 5 through 10 are the distribution schedules. The big change with the 5 is the 5LO. So when you have deliveries that include tax to a customer, for Oregon only, you put it on the Schedule 5. If it includes Oregon and any local jurisdictions, you put it on the 5LO. This informs the system that it has a local option tax as well as the Oregon state tax. For all X-tax deliveries, it's still Schedule 6. For exports, it's Schedule 7. If it's exported from a jurisdiction where the originating city or county tax was paid, it's 7E. 8 is gallons delivered to the U.S. government armed forces. The 10AC and AD are tax-exempt sales in city and county jurisdictions. 10 is gallons delivered tax-exempt to other entities such as diplomats. And so is the 10D. There are also 4 INT schedules, which are information schedules. The INT-01 is for product transfer disbursed. The INT-02 is for product transfer received. INT-03 is for ending inventory for those who report on the sales method. And the INT-04 is for in-state refinery production. We only have a few dealers that report on the sales basis. Most of you will report on receipts basis, where your receipts will match your disbursements.
Linda, I have a question. There is no beginning inventory. How would you get the beginning inventory when we file July return?
That'll have to be manually entered. We're looking at 2 options. One is to see if we can file manually file June reports to entering an inventory, or we'll just have a code like have the BOL listed as beginning inventory instead of a BOL number, and have a purchase date of 7/1 to show a beginning inventory for July.
Okay.
We will
so
provide,
you will notify.
yeah,
you
we'll
will
provide
notify
that
us, right?
instruction when we make that decision.
Okay, thanks.
Or we might just have to figure, okay, let's look at the June report and see what the ending was.
That'll work.
So I'm going to open the Excel worksheet that I was going to upload. I have it set up for May, so I need to change some dates here. So these are all June transactions now. But this is what the Excel worksheet looks like with my sample information in it. Again, you can get this upload from the system, and I'll show you that in a minute. You notice that the first column is a schedule code. The second column is the product code. Just take me a few minutes here to change all these, because I was planning on a May report. I'm just going to fake some of these dates, because when we go, it doesn't really matter, it's not going to change. Make it a little bit quicker to go through this here. Make sure I'll have my date fields updated here so it doesn't tell me I'm in the wrong month here. So yeah, some of our purchase information might look a little funny with all the same dates and stuff, but we'll get an idea of what it looks like anyway. So let me save this. So now when I do my Excel upload, I'll go back to my tax sessions. And when I select this month, I'll go down to the bottom and do a data file upload. If you need the current template, you can download the template here. It'll open in Excel. It's designed for an upload of up to 1,000 records. But I'm just going to select my my June report. Hopefully I saved it where I can find it. There we go. And upload that information. It tells me that the file has been successfully uploaded, and that I need to regenerate my return. So the first time you generate your return, you go into Session Details. I'm going to include schedules, and then Save and Regenerate. It tells me I have 8 critical errors, which I did on purpose, and the return status is pending. I'm going to refresh this, and then I can do several options. I can go through scheduled transactions and see where the missing pieces are. I can go into validations, and I can view the tax return. If I view the tax return now, it won't show me any of the transactions that have problems. So we're going to go into transaction validation to look at the errors in our report. That we just had 36 transactions here. 4 of them have errors. It tells me which schedules have problems and how many errors on each schedule. So I have an export problem, an ex-tax sales problem, a local jurisdiction problem, and a receipt problem. When I go to the list below, it lists each of the errors and tells me whether it's critical, which means I have to complete it in order to file the report, or if it's a warning, where it could accept it, but it could have an error. Since I just made this with a few errors, I'll show you the manual way of correcting them. You can sort the errors by any of these columns. So if you wanted to sort by error message and then found out that maybe you'd made a coding error on one of your destinations, you'd want to go back and fix that on your Excel or XML file and reload it. Every time you reload your Excel file, it wipes out any changes you've done before. So if you do correct anything and reload, it'll go back to what you loaded. It'll lose your corrections. So let's start, well, I'll go by schedule code here, and we'll start with Schedule 2. This is telling me I don't have a destination, and I remember on this one my destination was Beaverton, so I'll just pick the AM PM, I guess, here, and then I can click Update, and this is what the Schedule 2 would look like if I did a manual entry, the fields that are required. I can update here. It tells me the record is updated. Close the window, and you can see that the blue part gets a little bit bigger, the errors get a little bit smaller. On the 5LO, it shows me I have 5 problems, but it's just one entry. So I'll enter that schedule next. It's looking for a destination and a facility ID, and then also it should be in a taxing jurisdiction. I can resolve all of those errors just by selecting the destination. So again, let's put this in the same, put it in the Beaverton one before that we did before. So now we have a destination, a code. It's within the within a taxing jurisdiction. So we'll update this, and it's approved. I have 2 errors left. This is on a Schedule 6, so it's telling me that my purchaser is not a licensed dealer, and therefore I cannot sell X-Tax to them. So I need to go in and see what I did. Selected the wrong one. We'll go ahead and change the name. Select the correct customer and update that information. And that leaves me with 1 error in my exports. And here my fuel must be exported outside the state. So I'll pick a city outside Oregon. I like picking on Washougal, so. I can pick Washougal, Washington. If the city and state I was delivering to wasn't in this list, I can click on the red box over here to add new item, and I could list where I was sending the fuel. And notice when you select a state, it will give you a list of valid cities. There's 2023. If I start typing in the city, it'll narrow it down for me. Don't forget your effective date. The red stars are required fields. And now it shows that it's sent to my Washougal customer in Washougal, Washington, and I can update this information. So now all of my errors are corrected. I have nothing left to display here. I can go back to my tax sessions. I'll want to regenerate my return since I've made changes. And the shortcut now for doing that is this little regeneration icon at the right. This goes a little faster in the live system, but now I can view my tax return. The first thing I notice is that even though I don't have inventory, it's showing a gain loss of 9,430 gallons. If you are a receipts-based dealer, this is an indication that you've either missed a delivery or missed a receipt. In this case, my receipts are 146.74. My deliveries are 137.244. So I've missed a delivery somewhere in preparing my report. When you look at the rest of the return, make it a little bit smaller so we can see the whole page at one time. Just a second. So you have the receipts. There we go. Now we see most of the page. You have the receipts, the gain loss, deducts my taxable gallons, or confused taxable gallons, deducts tax paid purchases, and shows my Oregon tax is $10,145.10. And the main difference here, if you look on line 15, this is my jurisdiction tax, $1,462.63. You no longer have to file up to 17 reports to report your jurisdiction taxes. It's all on one report. Your second page is your receipts and disbursement summary. Again, it shows the fuel by type of receipt, whether it was tax paid, import, or ex-tax, and the type of disbursement by whether it was taxable, ex-tax, exported.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
For the diesel fuel that's now reportable for informational purposes, in terms of gallons delivered to licensed dealers, will we be reporting diesel fuel sales on there?
Yes, if you do not have a seller license, you would be reporting your diesel sales along with your gasoline.
Well, we have a used fuel seller's license.
If you have a seller's license, you can fill out the 5 or 6 BLK and report them with your seller license. Or you can add them to your dealer license. It's a choice. It's an information report.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we have it set up where we're going to report them with the dealer license.
That's fine.
But my question is I think we're running into where some of the sales that we're making of the diesel fuel, that particular customer isn't registered as a motor fuel dealer, and so it's causing us errors.
Okay, it shouldn't for diesel. Let me check into
Okay.
that. So you're getting errors,
Okay.
errors trying to.
We are working with someone at the state already. I was just asking maybe.
Yeah,
Okay. But
I
for
haven't-
diesel fuel, it shouldn't do that. Okay.
yeah, it shouldn't require a license for diesel fuel.
Okay.
So, Linda, are you saying that if we have a dealer and a seller license, then we don't need to report diesel on both? We can report on either one?
Yes. It's one or the other. You don't have to report on both.
We don't have to. Okay, thanks.
When you say one of the other, Linda, I mean, does that mean that it's our choice, we can choose one of the other? Or is it a mandatory which one to pick?
It is generally a choice. The main reason you would want to report it on the dealer license is if you're selling diesel into jurisdictions, you're going to have to report it for the jurisdiction anyway. If you are just report, for sellers, it's going to be for Oregon purposes only. So you would have to report diesel on the dealer license if you're selling into a jurisdiction that taxes diesel, but you wouldn't have to report it on the dealer license if you're just having Oregon tax only.
Would there be an option if we can do it on both, on the motor vehicle just for the informational purpose, and then on the seller as a diesel transaction?
I think you could. I'm not sure if it would report in a double reporting for our purposes, but we can check that out.
Okay.
Let me
right.
get an answer on that for you.
Thank you.
So the third page of our dealer report now is our jurisdiction breakdown. In this case, we have 9,700 gallons sold in the city of Astoria, 5563 in Cottage Grove, Eugene, Springfield, Veneta, Washington County. So you can see that each jurisdiction has its taxable fuel and the tax computed, and then this number is taken over to the front page and included on line 15. So the other 17 reports, or the other 16 reports, are now summarized on one page. If you don't have activity, you don't have to worry about filing a zero. It just happens. This is an example of the Schedule 1. Looks pretty similar to the old type. Again, this is product code 65. The Schedule 2, this is for diesel. So if you're reporting diesel receipts on your dealer report, you would have this schedule. And in this case, one of these loads was exported, the other one went to Astoria, so that's why I included the diesel in this report. The Schedule 2 for E10, ex-tax receipts. The Schedule 3 for E10, sold to customers. The Schedule 4 for gasoline, brought into storage. The Schedule 5, sales of fuel with just Oregon tax. These went to Ontario and Redmond. The Schedule 5 for E10, going into Scappoose and Medford. The Schedule 6 for E10, again, these are all sales to licensed dealers. This is 5LO for gasoline, so that one transaction I changed to Beaverton was gasoline. And here's a 5LO for diesel for that little delivery that went into Astoria. Here's my 5LO for E10. So this details the ethanol blend that went into the various cities. If there was more than one transaction for any jurisdiction, it would subtotal. Here are my exports of gasoline, my exports of diesel, and that completes the report. So that's the 16 pages that you get instead of 16, well, at least with this small sample. And again, before I filed my report, I would find out what happened to this 9,430 gallons and get that additional transaction put in my disbursements. I can return to tax sessions. And let's say I found it, but I don't want to update my worksheet, so I'm just going to go into Schedule Transactions and fill out a Schedule 5. Add new record. And I'm assuming that was E10 that I'm missing, because that's what most of it is. Let's pick one of my carriers from my test list here. Send it by truck from the plant. And again, when you're selecting the origin, if you know part of the name, you can enter the name. If you know the location, you can enter that. So anytime you start typing, it'll help you look for if you know the location code, like I did with this terminal, you can put it in that way. The destination, we'll make this go to, might as well make it go to Salem. We don't want any local taxes. Let's pick on a company here. I'll put one of my test companies as a purchaser. The document number, the date of the ship date, document number. Put in a good old 6-digit number for BOL. I know it was missing 9,430 gallons. And your net, gross, and billed gallons may be different. I'm just going to use them all the same for this example, just to get the report to balance. So that inserted my record. I'll go back to my tax sessions. I'll refresh the view again. So now, not quite ready yet. There we go. Now when I view my return, I don't have any gain loss because I have distributed all the fuel I purchased, but my taxability has gone up because I delivered it into Oregon. Question?
Yeah, is there a threshold for the loss gain, or
It's
generate an automatic notice or anything?
I don't know if there is an automatic notice if your gain loss is kind of out of sync. Generally, we kind of look at a period as a whole because some months, you know, you have more gain or loss, or you'll have a gain one month, a loss the next, that kind of offset each other. So it's kind of taken on a case-by-case basis. And sometimes there's documentation involving a loss or gain, you know, that can be attached separately.
Yep.
If you have retail sales on diesel, then you definitely would have to do the used fueler for the diesel also.
Right. If you have retail sales of diesel, you would also have to file as a used fuel seller. Now that we have our report completed, we can return to tax sessions, click on our report, and file the tax return. I'm going to consent to the conditions of the submittal, and then submit my return. I owe $14,436.73, so I'll go ahead and submit my payment as well. My filing date is 7/7. My due date is 7/25, so I can pick a payment date anytime between those two. And the first time you pay, it'll always come up as a one-time payment. So go ahead and submit that, and then we can set up our payment information.
Do you know if this will be required?
Yes, you will be making payments online.
Okay, so we can't do ACH credit anymore?
This
Or-
basically comes out the same. It's an ACH debit, so it just pushes the money through. When I'll show you how the payment setup works and then how it shows up on your account information. We don't
But it will
actually,
be done.
pardon?
It will be done through here from now on?
Yes, yes. It actually is done through the U.S. Bank, which is the bank that the state works with. We don't see any of your account information necessarily. It all resides with U.S. Bank. So I'm going to set up my account information. And here where it has payment, I can change from one time to recurring so that I can retain my banking information. Enter the bank routing number. And even for the test system, it has to be a valid number. And then I can make up any account number for my test system. If I want to name the account, I can. So if this is my fuel account, I can name that and then continue. It's going to give me a payment details information. So it's telling me that I'm paying fuel tax. This won't say ZMSA in the live system. It'll actually show the real one. I'm paying the full amount due. I'm set up to file on the due date. This one I'm paying a couple of days before. And here's my tracking number, my confirmation. I'm going to accept the terms and confirm.
Sorry, Linda, can we submit a test payment, like 1 cent, to see if it goes through this way?
You can't pay until you owe something. So you have to file a report showing tax due in order to pay. You could file a return showing 1 gallon to do a test payment if you wanted to.
Okay.
It'll give a reference number. The ODOT is for ODOT. ST is state tax. If you have recurring payment, you'll have an R here. If you do not have a recurring payment, you won't. And then you'll have a reference number. It'll give you your payment details, the tracking number of where the money came from, and then you can continue. And then it'll take you to your payment history once your payment is complete. So it'll show here that on July 8th, I created a payment that's going to be taken out on 7/23. Here's my tracking number. It's by ACH debit, and at this time I have a one-time payment that's pending. If I go back to my tax session screen, it shows no records in the open file. I have to go to all files to see my closed records. Now it shows that my dealer report was filed today, due the 27th, and I have a tracking number. So now I have all the information showing that I filed my dealer report. You might have seen it pop up when I hit the line. If I want to create an amendment, all I have to do is come down here and say create amendment, confirm, and it'll insert a record in my tax filings. So I'll go to tax session, and it'll now have my June report with the 0 sequence, which is my original report, and now it also has a June report with a sequence 1. This is the first adjustment to my dealer report. So sequence 0 is going to be the original report. Sequence 1 is going to be the first amendment. Sequence 2 would be the second amendment. You cannot create an amended report until you file the original. But anytime you amend it, anytime you fix anything after the original, it'll create an amendment. We'll also have activity in our account information now. So if we go into account maintenance, or excuse me, account management, we'll have a company balance. It shows 0 because I have already generated a payment for it. Again, the payment, account activity. It doesn't show anything because my payment is still pending. If I go to payment history, it shows my payment that's pending. And when I go into account processing setup, I can now set up my one-time payment to be a multiple payment if I want to. I can click on this line, and if I select auto pay with yes, I can then select the due date. Do I want to take it out on the due date, 1 to 5 days before, or immediately on completing the report? I'll do the day before, for example, and then I can update the information in the system. If I needed to update my account information with U.S. Bank, I would go to this link here to update my U.S. Bank details. You can add another account if you have multiple locations or multiple accounts you pay from.
Sorry, to be clear, our account information for our bank accounts will be held through U.S. Bank?
The account information will be held through U.S. Bank, yes.
Linda, so you're not going to allow ACH credit no more?
No, everything will be going through the system. It'll be ACH debit now.
So it's a debit only, no credits?
Yes.
Do we have those anywhere in the instructions or documents where it says the state does not allow debit anymore?
I'm not sure if it's in there or not. I can check.
If not, then I can send an email to get the confirmation, because we will have a problem with our corporate office setting us debit.
Okay.
So I have to have something in the writing for the management to convince that.
Okay. Do you want to send me an email separately and I can respond to you individually?
Yes, I will do that. Thanks.
Okay. Thanks.
And the question regarding amendment, do you want all transactions to be uploaded again on the amendment, or just for those corrections only?
When you amend, you just upload the corrections.
Corrections only.
Yeah, when you go back to tax sessions, thank you, that was a good question I didn't cover. When you look at your amended, when you look at session details, you have a choice here of looking at the current view, which would be just the changes you're making, or you can do an overall view, which shows your report as it would be with all corrections together. So when you file an amended report, you just want to list the corrections to that report. Any other questions on reporting or payment?
On that data file upload, if you're doing the XML,
Mm-hmm.
it's not going to be in the same place, is it? Or is it? There's not going to be a download plate.
If you do the XML, you just go to e-filing, then e-file upload. And
Okay.
just bring all the information through here. It'll still show up in your tax sessions when it's completed. It's just a different place to upload because it's a different file type. And you'll still have the information on the transaction validation. When you do the XML, the XML upload, you'll still get the same transaction validation screen. So you'll have the same little bubble with the right and wrong answers in there.
Linda, I have one more question on amendments. Let's say if we missed the transaction last month and then return has been already filed and we want to add that transaction, will this still be an amendment, right?
Yes, it would be an amendment.
Because the return has been already filed, so you can't add anymore.
Right. The thing is, if you upload the file and, you can upload the file the 5th of the month and then wait until, closer to the due date to file it. So you have time to find out if there are transactions that were slow getting to your office to be entered, that kind of thing. It's something that you can continue to work on and either re-upload or manually enter.
Right, but once it's filed, then it has to be an amendment only.
Right. Once it's filed, it does have to be amended.
Sorry, Linda, if we don't mark the session as filed, can we remove what we uploaded?
If you,
Like, for example,
yeah,
yes.
if I had transactions, like if I took this and uploaded my file again, I could choose to upload the same file that I already did, and it would just double my transactions.
Yes.
But then I realized, oh, I uploaded the wrong file. The quickest way I have found to erase is to then upload a blank template. So when you have, like if I took this template and erased it all,
Uh-huh.
do this again here. So if I went back to my report right now and generated this, it would show, the same types of transactions. So if I looked at the transaction validation for my amended report, it's not looking at my original report yet. So it's going to show me the same transaction. But if I then go back to my tax sessions and go through and upload a blank file, and I named the other one June 2 so that I would have and then upload over that. And refresh the view. Now see that there's no transactions. That's the fastest way I have found to erase everything and make sure you got everything out, is just to upload a blank file. Start from scratch.
Okay.
It doesn't change anything.
What do you guys look at to figure out the 1,000 transactions? Is that based on the receipts or the distribution?
Both. It's lines of data. So how many schedules would you have to fill out? So it's like for each scheduled transaction you'd have to fill out, so if you had 4 receipts and 3 distributions, that would be 7 transactions. If you're really close to the 1,000 and you want to try Excel, the only thing they've told us is it might take longer to upload if you're over the 1,000 by a little bit, and there's also a risk of data corruption because it's not made to hold that many files. I've had more than 1,000 lines on Excel, but I think with the time it takes to load, if you get much more than that, and then the risk of lines being messed up or something with the upload process, that's just the warnings that they gave us with it. So
Okay.
I don't know how hard and fast 1,000 transactions are.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, and if we submit it through the e-filing tab, is there a way to remove it then?
If you XML file,
Yes.
yeah, you can remove the transactions the same way. You can either upload a blank XML. You'd have the same information in your tax sessions. Once you upload XML, it just uploads through a different window. But if you wanted to erase them, again, you could load a blank template and it would erase it.
Okay.
If I load
Thank-
another XML file, will it replace the current one?
Yes. It will not retain anything from the first file. If you go
So
into,
it does the delete and then it replaces?
yeah, when I look in I'll look at my session details here, and then go into my history, and it tells me that taxpayer has elected to delete all scheduled transactions for this session. When you upload a new file, it tells you that every time. So even this one, when I had nothing yet, it says I'm deleting all scheduled transactions and uploading a new file. So it overwrites everything that was there when you upload a new file, whether Excel or XML. Any other questions on filing or amending?
Hey, Linda, I just wondering for the Excel upload, can we just upload a new one and then they can override the old one
Yes.
instead of, okay.
Yeah, the new
So we
file,
don't,
either a new file or a blank file would override the prior file.
okay.
For amendments, what amendment options are there? Is it like if I have 5 records for July that I need to add, would that be like a supplemental? Would we have to replace the whole file?
No, you just need to create an amendment and upload the 5 files that you missed the first time. You could do the manual entries through the schedules that we showed you the first time. You could do an Excel upload. You could do an XML.
Okay. Oh, and what about for periods prior to when we go live? Will those all be amended on paper?
I believe so. I will check and confirm whether we'll be able to file amended reports. Since it doesn't have any original information in it for prior to July 1, I think they'll still have to be paper.
Okay.
Linda, you're not going to allow any prior period transaction, correct?
The system will not allow a prior period transaction. If you try to put in a date other than the current month you're reporting, it'll tell you that it's
Right.
outside the current period.
Okay.
I thought we got 1 month prior.
When I've tried to put in a different date in the system, it tells me it has to be the current period.
Okay. My discussions with Dan were that we were going to be allowed 1 month prior.
Right now it's validating. I tried even 1 day late. It did not allow me to do it.
Yeah. I said, in my experience, it's been the current month. I mean, if I had something on the 30th that I'd missed, you could put it in as July 1st. You know, is it going to make a lot of difference? Maybe not. But if you're looking at several dates, then yeah, you'll probably have to amend the other period.
I have a question on, if we wanted to do the test, but we want to upload a prior report to see if it would work, would you have to set up everything in the test file to be able to do that?
If you're going to use a test system, the information that you're testing, if you're going to use XML, has to match your test company. If you're looking at validating your XML to start filing live, then you can contact Helen Latham and Jim Bodenhamer at our support staff, and they're doing our XML certification. So you can upload you can send them a file for a prior period. They actually give you a link to a certification page where you can do the test files that match your paper.
Okay.
Sorry, it needs to match the paper?
For prior periods, they just want to make sure that the data in XML would create the same report that the paper report created. So that's part of the certification process of XML. Once the XML file is coming out correct and everything's translating, then you can be certified to file XML Live.
Okay.
But there is a process of validating, I think it's 2 months, to make sure that the report information comes through correctly.
So we have to do certification for 2 months?
Yes.
Any period or any particular period?
It can be prior periods. I'm not totally up on the XML certification because I've been working on training for reporting and things. But there was some information.
Check with Jim.
Yeah, you can check with Jim or Helen, and then there was some information that went out on our GovDelivery email yesterday on it too.
Okay, thanks.
I have a couple of quick questions.
Okay?
So on the test system, I assume that you don't have to print out the signature form and get it signed and notarized and uploaded, correct?
Correct.
And for which month are we required to start using this? Is it June or July?
July reports that are due in August. Yeah, the June reports will still be filed on paper.
Okay, good.
But if you want to practice putting a June report in the test system, you're welcome to, you should all have logons by now, and you're welcome to apply for a license. All of the people who have the web logons are getting pretty much just skating through just because we know that it's for practice.
And it doesn't mean anything that's on that application in the test system doesn't link to the main system, anything like that, correct?
It doesn't link to the main system. It stands alone. We've kept it open, for training. We have some quarterly users who, want to practice on filing before they actually have to do it, because they won't be filing till October. So they've got a lot longer lead time to forget things between training and actually using it. But then also it allows us to test theories, if we want to find out if one system, one thing works over another. For instance, in entering beginning inventory, that gives us a chance to check some theories out before we decide which way to go on that.
I'm sorry, Linda, it was Helen, and who was the other person for the,
Helen Latham and James Bodenhamer. If you call into our main number, 503-378-8150, someone can direct you to either of them.
Okay, thank you.
If I don't have any other questions, we can go ahead and conclude. I want to thank you all for your time this morning and your interest in getting the system.
I have one more question.
Okay?
If we're doing the XML on the regular tax returns, but then we have the city, the Multnomah and, City of Woodburn and all that stuff, how's that going to...
They'll all come in at the same time. It's all being on one report now.
So all the city and the county stuff will come in on the XML also?
Yes. It'll be coded
Okay.
as a 5LO if it's delivered to a local jurisdiction with tax.
So there really isn't anything that we have to fill out on the tax return at all except for the date or something?
pretty much.
Okay, all right,
Yeah.
thank you.
You're welcome.
And Linda, sorry, the
Mhm.
templates are the same for Multnomah, Washington, and everything.
Yes, all the reports will be on the same, all of the jurisdictions will be on the same report now. When we looked at the report before, we'll look here and view the tax return. The page 3, oops, wrong scroll bar. This page replaces all of your jurisdiction tax reports. So you have City of Astoria, City of Canby, and the thing is, this report will calculate the tax whether you're licensed there or not, but it'll give you a warning saying we've calculated tax for a jurisdiction that you don't currently have a license.
Oh, okay, great.
So even if I wasn't licensed in Eugene but sold fuel there, it would tell me that this is what my Eugene tax is. And, you know, then it would give me a warning on my filing history that I'm not licensed. Actually, I can show you what that looks like. So if I go in here to look at warnings, I'll look at the session details. And in the history log, it warns me here that that I should be licensed in Veneta because I have sales there, and I need to be licensed in Cottage Grove because I have sales there. So this is your first warning that you've sold in a jurisdiction that you don't currently have a license.
We would normally pay directly to City of Cornelius or City of Sisters as an example. Is that going to go on here? Because those aren't usually paid to you.
No, if you currently pay to the city directly, then you would continue to do so. They are not currently licensed, they're currently registered with us to collect the tax for them.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you all for your time this morning, and if you have additional questions, please let us know.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Thanks.